What up? What up? How are you?
I'm great.
Better?
I think when I say culture, I'm talking about another version. Yo, we're live. Yeah, Elliot Wilson, man. It's the truth. Live. We returned. This is actually the season 5 finale, right, Taylor? We out of here, man. I got to call the lawyers, man, after this one.
Get that re-up ready. Re-up. Or you going back to Cleveland with Braun and
Go back to Cleveland with Kevin Love, man. Nah. So we here today. Got another amazing panel. 2 males, 2 females. I had to have the right ratio, the right balance, because this is a topic that's always been an important issue to our culture, something that we struggle with. We're never fully happy with the overall state of it, I feel, and it just keeps coming up, you know, and like especially this past week, we've heard a lot of different artists, you know, from the past who've had great years of success, and they're doing their thing now. What happened? Oh, what's that? The Soul Reed? Yo, we're live. Yeah, Elliot Wilson, what you got there? Hold on one second. Tech difficulties. Okay, yeah, I'm hearing my prompt and shit. Are they watching that part of it now? Are they that behind? Oh, okay. Taylor's out here fucking up, man. He's 5. But anyhow, female rap, the state of female rap. You know, last couple years, I think of, these are the things I think of, you know, Nicki Minaj's dominance. Now we have the Iggy Azalea factor, her success this year. The wrath of Lil' Kim, she's back terrorizing. You know,
terrorizing who?
You can watch every 5 minutes. You can watch Lauryn Hill live somewhere doing something, you know, and obviously also the return of Remy Ma. You know, we're very excited about that. So the esteemed panel I have today, I want you guys to introduce yourselves. Give me your opening thoughts about, like, when people say female hip hop or female rap, what comes to your mind? Keep it real brief if you can, and let's just start this discussion. I'm bringing back Jas Fly. Jas.
What it is, what it is.
What's going on, Jas?
By the way, I can't see myself now.
Introduce yourself first, obviously.
I am Jas Fly. I am a writer and a media personality, and on some days a journalist.
And now you're West Coasting, right? You're West Coasting now.
Today I'm on the West Coast.
All right, true.
Yes. So I guess yes. But yeah, I'm I guess a culturalist. I don't know what else to say about this. My thoughts on female hip-hop. I want to issue a disclaimer. This is my one and only time having this conversation, Elliot Wilson. I hate having this conversation.
We all do, Jas. Why do we hate it? Why do you think we hate it so much?
Because we never have a real conversation. We have the same bullshit. Can I curse?
Yes, please.
Okay. We have the same bullshit conversation of why aren't there any female MCs, just so we can feel better about there not being any female MCs, but we never actually talk about why, so I don't have time for all that.
But besides why do we have it, was it more so, do you mean why don't we have enough? Or like, what about the
like you have to have like a real conversation about it to actually change anything, but until then you just have these sort of masturbatory conversations and ain't nobody got time for it. Well, I don't.
I'm sure that'll come back up. So when people mention even the idea of female rap, you don't even think of Nicki or think of the actual acts. You think of the overall dilemma that we face, like when people say it.
Well, I think when we talk about female rap, specifically female rap, the conversation is always what's happening and where are they and how many are there, etc. When we talk about Nicki, it's usually in context of the music or something that she's done. So that's 2 different conversations. Okay. So when the female rap conversation comes up, it's usually a complaint-based conversation.
Got you. Okay, I feel you on that. L-Boogs, you're back in the house.
I'm here. We're good.
What's up, DJ Extraordinaire? Tell the people who you are, and then again, what do you feel when you hear the term female rap, female hip hop, the state of things?
L-Boogs, one of the founding members of the Heavy Hitters. I'm over at Hot 97. You guys know that place. The best show ever each and every Saturday. When I hear the whole thing about female rap, like I was speaking earlier, it's like it's something that's always been missing in hip hop, period. Because like we said earlier, you know, we were having the sidebar. It's a thing of like we're only allowing one woman at a time. That's it. If another girl tries to step in the field, we got to make them go at each other. But I just think it's always been missing. And because of the way hip-hop is set up in general, starting in the office, women always get pushed to the side. And then it's like, oh, man, is she really rapping? Did she really write that? we really don't question it.
Rhymes. Does she write her own bars?
Yeah, like we don't really question that when a man raps. As soon as he come out rapping, yo, he rapping. But as soon as a woman comes out, it's like, wait a minute, we gotta find out, did she really write that or not? We're gonna write her off. And I think that's foul because automatically the negatives are set against women when they try to come in the hip hop ring.
Okay. Raven B. How are you, Ray?
I'm well. I'm Raven B. I'm a photographer and I guess you could say a hip hop enthusiast. So I'm always taking pictures of hip hop artists. For me, I feel like it's a little different because I feel like women in hip hop, we're always, well, not me, but women rappers are pretty much it has to be a competition. So like L-Boogs said, there can only be one female rapper. If there's more than one, if another one comes out, she's automatically put against the one that's already on top. But more so, I feel like it kind of represents society in the sense that women are just overly sexualized in like a male-dominated society. Like, it's not just about their bars. You have to still be a sexy woman to have any sort of power because there are other like up-and-coming, I feel like, women rappers, but they might not have the spotlight because they're not as...
We're going to mention them.
Yeah, but they're not as sexy. So I think there's a lot of issues, not just there being a lack of women rappers, but just how they're represented and what makes them successful.
Okay, we're going to get into that, obviously. Combat Jack, you're back, baby. What's going on?
What's up, internets?
Salutes.
So my name is Reggie Osei, a.k.a. Combat Jack. I'm an attorney, author.
He's a lawyer.
Personality, and I'm a Jack Jazz and say I'm a culturalist. I think in 2014...
I want my publishing. I want my publishing.
Get it.
Why is Jazz frozen? You got to unfreeze Jazz. Jazz is frozen on my screen. I can't see.
But I think it's 2014, man, and with all this access to information and talent, this argument is way late in the day. You know, I'm at a point in my life where I've heard everything under the sun from male and female MCs, and I want to hear more. There's so many more women MCs out there that are doing great things that I've accidentally stumbled upon. There's a female out in, I'm sorry to even say female, there's a woman out in Chicago named No Name Gypsy, who I think she was down with Kanye for a bit, but she's hot. And speaking about, you know, relationships and day-to-day things that are not sensationalized, she's not showing ass cheek or cake out there. I mean, it's late in the day, and I think we have to blame the industry. We got to blame society as a whole. We got to blame ourselves as fans. Like, we got to do the work and find those artists and prop them on social media because we have the tools right now to take, you know, these obscure artists and bring them to the mainstream.
Jazz, why do you think, like, when we talk about all these things, obviously Nicki comes to mind. Nicki Minaj has been pretty dominant in this space for several years now. She's not even her success has sort of transcended even the stigma of, like, she's just a female rapper. She's competing with whatever stage there is in the culture at the top of the stage. Right. Jazz, what do you make of Nicki's success the past few years and how she's had to always constantly also find that being criticized at times for her viewpoint or image-wise, trying to do some pop stuff? And why do you think her success hasn't opened doors and led to the stigma of female rappers being knocked down?
I think that, well, it's not necessarily her job to open the door. As an artist, that would be her job if she had a label and if she had a stable of artists. I think so that's answering that part of the question. I think also with Nicki, Nicki came in incredibly aggressive. Nicki came in, you know, proving from jump that she could spit. At the end of the day, no matter what else happened, that she could spit and she could hold her own. And then Nicki went through several iterations of her own image. And she, you know, at times is incredibly sexualized and at times she's incredibly demure. And I think she's done a great job of walking that fine line between knowing what the artist wants, knowing what the audience wants, and then also feeding her own artistic desires. Yeah. So I think that that's what has kind of helped Nicki. Also, it doesn't hurt to be, you know, in the Young Money family. Wayne, you know, definitely paved one hell of a road in front of her. And then she's also got Drake there, you know, like she's positioned herself very well to be insulated. And then also, like I said, she proves that she can spit.
Ooh. I mean, also as we start talking, y'all can jump in at times. Like it's pretty much a free-flowing conversation. But Raven, I know you're a big fan of Nicki. Like, what do you make of the 2014 Nicki? And like a lot of times there was like a lot of criticism, you know, the Starships thing when she tries to make pop records, and then she made Chirac and some of these appearances, and everyone was excited about her when she does hardcore stuff. But now it seems like as she's launching this new album, she's giving us Pills and Potions. She's giving us Anaconda. She's going back and showing that side of herself. What do you make of her new material?
Well, I just feel like with Nicki, like she's so diverse. Like she covers so many angles, and there's like so many facets that make her up that she covers like all targets. Like she doesn't have one audience. And I think I always admired her for like being hip hop and also being pop, because I feel like there's a lot of hip hop that is pop and is pop culture, and now we're in a state where like we're not just really boxed in where she only has to rap to make money, or she only has to be one way. I've always admired, like as a woman, that she does do a lot, that she can sing and she can rap, and she doesn't limit herself to one thing. So when she did Starships, I loved it. When she does Pills and Potions, I love it. And then when she does Chirac, I love it, because I feel like, because right now she's pretty much the only woman representing, well, not right now, because now you kind of have Iggy and other women, but she still dominates hip-hop culture as a woman, and she still finds a way to cover like all different lanes. Like she's not boxed into one lane, and because she constantly reinvents herself, you don't get tired of her. Like you know there's always going to be something new with Nicki.
But do you think she has to be so diverse because she is the only one up until this point?
I don't think it's a matter of...
No, go, Jas.
No, go ahead.
I don't think it's a matter of having to be. I think she's enjoying being alone in a lane. I think that, you know, if we look back to the Lauryn Hill period, we had more options. We definitely had more people who were kind of covering that spectrum, and I think Nicki has been able to tap into those markets that weren't being served. Also, going back to Raven's point, I think Nicki is doing a great job of following that sort of Drake model of, I'm going to give you a pop single, but I'm also going to give you a urban single as well, so that she can dominate on both fronts. So I don't think that it's a matter of her having to. I think it's her being able to take advantage of a lack of competition there.
And I feel like it's just really natural with Nicki. Like it never, to me, comes off as she's trying to be pop or she's trying to rap. I think for like my generation,
it definitely comes off to me as her trying to be pop and trying to rap. It all feels incredibly calculated.
Really? Well, for me, for me it doesn't. For me, it kind of feels natural in the sense that like I grew up in a generation where, you know, I'm like the bridge between like the beginning of the internet and like the golden state now of the internet. So I've listened, like growing up, you listen to a wide range of music, and I feel like she's just influenced by all the music she's always listened to, where she's not limited to only rapping or only doing pop. I feel like she just does the things she likes to do and the things that interest her, and it just, for me, comes off natural. It doesn't feel like, I think it might come off calculated when she does it, but overall, her like jumping into different genres doesn't seem calculated.
No, but
I mean, she kind of with that song Anaconda, though. She's kind of doing a female version of Sir Mix-a-Lot's classic "Baby Got Back." So,
I mean, it's not a bad record, though. It's not a bad record at all.
I'm saying, L-Boogs, is that ringing off in the club, baby? You going in on that?
It's gonna happen. We played it on the radio last Saturday, and we had to play it 6 times just cause. But at the same time, going back to what Raven said, it was like, it's to the point that, you know, that's kind of like become the blueprint now. Like, give me the pop record, give me the hood record, give me the radio record. And we know that the Chirac record, that's from the mentality of, I'm going to give you the mixtape record, and then I'm going to give you the record that's going to sell my album, and then I'm going to give you the record that, you know, pop world's going to like. So now we have a formula, and Nicki's playing it perfectly. Like, she's dancing on every single stage the right way. That's all I got. You know what I'm saying? Like, she goes the pop, the mixtape route, the hip-hop clean route. Like, she's doing it right. But I do wish that there was at least 4 more women doing the same thing. At the same time, at least 4 more. We got a nice starting 5. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
are you playing like other women rappers like on the radio?
We can't. No one wants to hear it.
Right, which then goes back to the original thing that I was saying, is that that's the real conversation. There isn't a lack of female MCs out there. It's a very narrow spectrum of what we want to actually hear. It's this conversation.
What came first, the chicken or the egg? Because, and not throwing it at you, but with regard to radio, it's not always been what we wanted to hear. Sometimes it's been what radio wants us to hear.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
And at the same time, there's always been, before it was what the label wanted the radio to play, then it became what the radio wanted to play, and now it's like we even got the internet telling us what to play on radio. So it becomes all these different things, and then we just got to pick that one record. And honestly, at the end of the day, we got to pick that artist that could actually rap, looks good in front of the camera.
Even somebody who's one of the biggest records of the year is by a female artist, Iggy Azalea, Fancy, and that record has caused a lot of controversy. Some people feel like it's not good for the culture. What's your guys' take on that record? And like,
it's a great record. Shit, it's put together.
How is that not good for the culture? It's a good record, whether you like Iggy or not. Like, and by the way, I am marking off how many times you say culture here today.
Y'all a culturalist. I'm not even a culturalist.
Listen,
I think it's a great. Sorry.
No, I think to be fair, here's what I'm trying. I think with Iggy got a lot of mainstream articles, and I know there was one article that wrote about how these obviously people cause attention and try to stir things up, so they made a lot of her success. So because of that, then I think some backlash comes in because it's an Australian girl making this pop record.
It's a white girl. It's a white. Let's keep it absolutely 100. People are mad that a white girl has the #1 rap record.
You're not mad, Jas? You're not mad?
I'm not trying to make a rap record. I like the song. Why do I care?
The way she's rapping on the record, like.
My concern.
As opposed to what?
My concern is this. It's a whole other issue. It's not about female MCs. I think it's about white appropriation of our culture. She's not that she shouldn't be rapping with the Southern accent, but you can't tell me that there's other women that could have been discovered to rap in a Southern accent.
No, it's a comeback. A comeback.
The L-Boogs go.
No. Real quick. What Combat just said, like, my whole thing is that. It's like, how many goddamn Australian people have a Southern accent? How many Australian people, you know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, like.
Not a lot, L-Boogs.
Not a lot, dog. So that's what fucks you up a little bit. Like, if you'd have told me Shorty's from Alabama, I'd have been 100 with it. But now you're like, wait a minute. That's how they talk in Australia. I ain't never been to Australia, so y'all got to school me real quick. You know what I'm saying? So Shorty got her own lane.
Yo, they gotta put L-Boogs in Australia, man.
You know what I mean? Book me over there and I come back and tell you what twang they twerking. But the point is, Shorty's doing it and she's moving out there properly, and you can't even hate. But then again, it does go back to that. Why is there a white woman in this urban arena? And I think that's so fucked up.
It's the gentrification.
But I'm with it though. Let her rock.
But here's the thing I don't understand. This whole gentrification of rap and the white appropriation of our culture. Y'all know that, like, early on, hip hop has always been owned by white people. What the fuck are y'all talking about?
Exactly.
Gentrification, like, this shit is not new. Like, if you mad, say you mad, but don't say you mad because if shit is gentrification. It's not gentrification.
See, hip hop wasn't owned by white Jazz. It wasn't owned by white people. It was exploited. That's a whole different thing.
But so it was paid for by white people.
If you took out people of color. If you took out people of color, where would hip-hop be?
That shit still be making money. I swear to God it would.
Wait, Brave, what you think of all this Iggy talk that's happening?
At first, I really wanted to tell you before Jazz told you that it's because she's a white woman. Like, aside from the fact that she's a woman, no one will say it's because she's a white woman. I doubt it would be that controversial if she was a black woman. But besides that...
Would the record be that big?
Well, this is my second thing. I feel like for me personally, I didn't like the song until I heard it a million times on the radio.
Until radio forced you to like it.
Which goes back to what L-Boogs is saying. It's not that people don't want to hear other women rappers or people don't want to hear that or it's not popular. We begin to like what's popular is what we hear. If I hear a song 30 times on the radio and I'm driving in the car, after a while, I'm going to start to hum to the song.
Is that a cheat code, or is that record legitimately a hit to you guys? Do you consider that one of the best songs of the year?
No, it's legitimately a hit. It's Gwen's Holla Back Girl with a better writer.
Look at that shit.
It's
Jazz right there. Holy shit. You're right.
It's a legitimate hit. Like, all the other bullshit aside, it's a good song.
How do you think it's affecting Nicki Minaj? Because Nicki hasn't had that #1 pop record like that's really hit #1 in the charts. And a lot of people felt like that BET speech was all about Iggy in a sense. Like,
no
shit. Trying to put her in a place
was there anybody
on a competitive
who
edge.
That BET wasn't about Iggy? Like, was anyone like, oh, that's not about Iggy?
What do you?
Oh,
What do you?
please.
Why do you think she tapped her then? Why do you think she tapped her, Jas? And was it the right thing to do?
Yes.
I think that at the end of the day, Nicki is a competitor. And for the first time, she actually has a competitor that is commercially keeping up with her and in some ways surpassing her with having that #1 single. And I think now we get to see what Nicki is like playing against another woman. I think she's doing what she's supposed to do.
Rave, did you think she should have tapped Iggy on that? You're a big Nicki fan, right?
I mean, I was happy that she kind of tapped in on her because I don't think one hit single makes her solely a competitor. You know what I mean? I do agree with Jas that I think that commercially she does now have competition. And there is another woman that's kind of like coming for her space. I also think she's a white woman, so that plays a role into it. And I think that she just kind of, but at the same time I think it's kind of annoying that she even has to address another female rapper because we're in a culture that forces them to compete. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a million male rappers that with men, it can be a brotherhood. You can have 10 songs with the same 10 artists and they're brothers and they're all competing to be #1. But with women, the minute there's another one, they have to compete.
Yeah.
Hey, Raven.
Yeah.
You know rap is competitive. You know that the moment that Bobby Shmurda got big, they started coming for Troy Ave. Like, no matter who you are, you get compared. That's what happens. That's what rap is.
But it's not just the comparison. It's not just the comparison. I feel like it's more so, I think it's just a lot stronger when it comes to women. I know that rap is competitive, and I know that, like, that's what is the beauty of rap. That's where great songs come from. But at the same time, I feel like there is more of a competition because they are women in hip-hop.
But speaking of competition from a different angle, I thought Reggie's friend, old man Ebro, said something interesting. There's also unity at times. And, you know, Beyonce and Nicki came together, made this flawless remix, really strong.
Love it.
Love it. We all love it, probably. It's a really strong record. And he said that, well, he felt like now we're at the point now where Beyonce and Nicki have to pair up almost because Iggy is so dominant right now, commercial radio. Like, Nicki's still a black artist, and it's hard for her records to get those looks in mainstream radio. Not the Hot 97, but top 40 radio. Like,
and that's exactly the point that I made earlier about the appropriation of our culture. It's so much harder for somebody like a Nicki who's proven herself. You know what I'm saying? So it's, you know, it's not a level playing ground. I understand what you're saying, Jas, but you can't tell me it's a level playing ground with regard to the race issue.
I think to be completely clear, Iggy is benefiting from being a oddity. She's a variable. She is a white Australian
privilege.
I'm sorry.
No.
Privilege?
Nah, we ain't gonna go there.
I think with that privilege also, I think with that privilege also comes other things that she's gonna face that Nicki wouldn't necessarily have to. But I think that she is benefiting from being the only white Australian girl in the room. Yes. And then also from being, you know, from the blonde ponytail, the very Madonna-esque look with an ass. Like, there are all sorts of factors here that Iggy is benefiting from, but you also got to keep in mind that Iggy has been around for a minute, and nobody, whether it was Black America or white America, gave a fuck until she dropped a good song.
Yeah. So it's not even so much about the sexuality, right? Like, at the end of the day, I mean...
Well, no, I think that's also what kind of thinned the herd as far as female MCs, because we started to only want to hear and talk about sex. And let's be honest, you don't want to hear everybody talk about sex.
But I also think people ignore the fact that, like, who our hip-hop audience is. Like, it's like 13 and 14-year-old little white girls in the Midwest. Like, who do you think they want to see? They want to see someone that represents them too, which also helps Iggy because the audience now is so much bigger. I think with hip hop, like the hip hop heads in like in the
culture
city,
now.
Well, I think a lot of people people that work in hip hop and that are around hip hop like to think that it's very small. But the people that are buying these records and that are going to concerts and that are watching them on TV, a lot of times they're these young white kids in the Midwest. So whose album do you think they want to hear on the radio, or whose album do you think they're going to buy? They want someone that represents
L-Boogs wants to go in, L-Boogs.
No, I got it. I'm agreeing with her 100%. Like, when Summer Jam, biggest shit we do at the station, those floor seats have nothing to do with us. When I say us, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about black and brown, you know what I'm saying? So those seats have nothing to do with us. the people that actually buy albums have nothing to do with it. And then black and Spanish or brown, what have you, we get upset because hip hop grew out of the hood and the shit evolved into something else. Like, it's the same plan. Like, when you from the hood, the plan is to get the fuck out the hood, not stay in the hood. So the plan for hip hop was to, you know, go out there, infiltrate all the masses, and now we got out the hood. We got out of the Bronx, and the shit's in Australia now.
I don't think that's what people are complaining about. I think people are complaining that the whole makeup and the history of hip hop is being rewritten.
But it should though. It should though.
It should be rewritten.
We should move on.
Eminem is the king of hip hop. Are you
Easy combat.
No. Eminem is not the king.
But you work for the empire though, so okay. I can't even be mad at you.
Oh,
and look at you.
I don't give a fuck. Let me tell you. Wait a minute. Reggie, wait a minute. I'm a part-timer. I'm not a full-timer, so I still talk my shit.
Okay.
If I had a contract over there, I'd shut the fuck up just a little bit.
I want to talk about one of Reggie's other favorite topics: the veteranness, the ageism in hip hop. How they try to put us and cast us aside. Little Kim, out of nowhere, she pops up on the Flawless record.
She got her Photoshop on.
Still on maternity leave. Still on maternity leave.
Fresh off maternity leave. She drops a baby and she's back. What's going on?
I wouldn't say she's back. I wouldn't say like she's back.
What did you make of those songs she's put out? She jumped on Flawless out of nowhere. She did another record called Identity Theft. Now she just jumped on Hot Nigga.
Reggie, are you listening to all this Kim stuff, or are you just like moving into this?
I'm listening to the Kim stuff, and I was tweeting about it yesterday. I felt that, you know, it's sad because particularly on this Identity Theft record, she doesn't sound bad, but it looks so bad for her legacy to still be going after Nicki. She doesn't have to. Her legacy is already set in stone.
She's already Muhammad Ali herself. You can fight one too many fights.
Good shit.
Like,
I always wanted to ask real quick. Was Little Kim the queen of hip hop ever, or was she just the queen bitch? Like, was she ever the queen of hip hop? I always wanted to ask a parent that
question. Queen B or queen bitch?
She had her lane. I'm not going to say
when Lauryn Hill was out, Foxy was out. Was Kim ever the undisputed number one in the game? The way Nicki's number one right now. That's what
like, was she ever really the queen of hip hop, or she's always just being the queen bee?
I think that when Kim had a run, it was a lot harder to be the queen of because she had so much competition, but I definitely think that she held her own, and I think she definitely had a real run that you can never dispute. Like, Kim was a real thing, and without Kim, you wouldn't have Nicki. Without Kim, you wouldn't have lots of elements of Iggy. Like, Kim really did open some doors.
So Jas, should they embrace that? All these new girls, yo, we gotta embrace Kim no matter what.
But they did. They did until she kept coming at them.
I feel like they were totally. I felt like she was paying homage to her in the beginning until like I feel like Kim became so obsessed with making it known that she did it first and trying to come back, that it got to the point where Nicki was like, well, I'm not paying homage to you anymore. Like, if you want this to be a competition, you're still going to lose. Like, I win, you lose, you know? But at the same time, for me, I didn't even listen to Identity Theft because of the cover. Because I already marked it off as being corny because she would do that. And I feel like who she is destroying her legacy because now, like, you're just going to remember her for, like, coming at Nicki.
Yeah.
Well, so what should she do? Or even a veteran like Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill's back. She was at OVO Fest performing. Like, obviously, these artists are respected for their contributions, mostly in the 90s, and the high standards they set. But is there a place for them in 2014?
I mean, look.
Well, here's the thing about Lauryn. Here's the thing that's dope about Lauryn. Lauryn's catalog was based on music that was for 365 days a year for 24 hours a day. She didn't make just songs that were for the club. She didn't make songs that were just for fucking. She made songs that you could actually like really relate to and live with. So now, really, technically, if she still has it in her, she could continue to make those type of songs. Whereas like Lil' Kim, again, Lil' Kim talking about, you know, giving head at, you know, in the 90s is a little different than her talking about giving head in 2014.
I mean, I don't want to get too raunchy, but in the Hot Nigga song, she talks about oral during a certain special period of the month.
Right, and it's just kind of like, but then I don't know, like, no.
you know,
But Combat, what's their lane right now? These veterans, these ladies that have been doing it. 20
But
years.
I think that depends on what you were talking about.
Combat.
It comes down to what they make their lane into. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak for what Lil Kim's lane should be. I can't speak for what everybody else's lane should be. But, you know, Elliot, you and I, you know, not that we're women MCs, but we're, you know, we are older in the game, and we found a way to rechange and reshape and redefine our lane. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be stuck to a certain gimmick or a certain theme. You know what I'm saying? Lil Kim's at that point. She has enough fans, or, I mean, I don't know how big her fan base is right now. But she really, I mean, she's at a point right now where she, if she can, look at herself in the mirror and be like, who do I want to be right now?
Mm-hmm. And everyone agrees her going at Nikki's at this point is just not the right move.
Hey, man, the easiest word is corny.
Completely wrong move.
You got to take that L.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, Little Kim fans are now 35, 45. You know what I'm saying? So you better go jump on that and just work with the girl. Shit, why y'all be beefing all the time, man?
Embrace your predecessor.
Yeah, man. You know Shorty got
Embrace your successor.
the hair, the this, the that, the covers. You know where it came from. You ain't got to argue that shit. Come on now.
Let's talk about the return of Remy Ma, somebody that was away for a long time. You know, serious business. She did a real prison sentence, and now she's back. Jumped right in the studio. Jumped on the DJ Khaled record. They don't love you no more.
Belly.
Right out there. Yeah, and me and Combat was talking before we got started that we thought it was crazy that her first record since coming out of this very serious situation, and she's talking about shooting shots in the tummy and blah. Like, that's the right move. And what did you guys, when you heard her on that record, like, how do you feel she sounded?
I was happy. I was sitting in the car when Flex was dropping the bombs, and I was really happy to hear her voice. Like, I was like, you know, Remy's back. I like hearing her on this record. Was it a great record? I don't think it was a great record. I was just happy because it was an event. But after that, I was like, yo, man, I'm scared of Remy. Like, I don't want to fuck with Remy. She got a jail stink on her, and she's scared to talk about guns? Nah, I'm good, B.
But I think also with Remy, like, she has an opportunity to start a new lane. I don't necessarily need her coming at the artists that are here right now. Like, again, it comes back to the, you know, I know you sat out the last 6 years, but you're at a different place in life, and there are so many things that you can talk about that they can't. And I think that she has an opportunity to really tap into something that would be hers, and she could own it. I think she just has to want it.
I'm sorry, time out. Remy and Kim do a concept record about how they moved in jail, like Thelma and Louise. Boom! Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
who?
Remy and
Kim.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's so much to talk about, and so
But at the end of the day, what Remy's talking about and that that Remy brings, only she could bring that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because Remy could bring that street shit, but I just think cool off, get your shit right, see what's really happening out here, and then you know what I'm saying? What happened?
Take a shower first. Straight out.
No, but we was talking. I was, you know, I ain't gonna say. Well, we was talking earlier. Like, yo, you just got out. Why the fuck are you shooting people and you just came out? You know what I'm saying? Like, see what's happening in 2014 first, and then cause she could spit no matter what.
Desire to like claim your spot back. Like Little Kim wants to turn back the clock. Like when she is per se queen of rap. It's me. I'm the queen. Like, is it a thing that people just can't accept? Where their position is now, and that they're not looking to carve their own lane. They want what that person has.
I think it's also a thing of, again, going back to the whole Muhammad Ali thing. It's just as important as it is to maintain a great career. It's also important to know when to transition out of that career. Yes. And I think what's happening is you have people who are so intent on capturing a moment in time and holding on to it that, like Combat said, they're fucking up their legacy. You got to know when to leave the party.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can't stay.
Rappers don't retire. They're like, they keep saying the boxing analogy, like boxers, rappers never really retire. They always feel like
Kim is a great position right now to tour around the world for the rest of her life.
On her catalog.
In her catalog, she can go overseas and make crazy money. She doesn't have to. She could tour the world. She could tour with her catalog. Kim. We're talking about Kim. Like, she don't have to be in this mix right now. This mix is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And for me, I think with Remy, I'm just happy that she's out. But I think that, you know, being disconnected from the world for 6 years, like, so much has happened, and the way we consume music now is so different than the way we consumed music 6 years ago, that I agree with Combat that she maybe needs to step back, look at her surroundings, figure out like what she's gonna bring to the table, and then rap. And then you can have Khaled intro you again.
I think that's probably what's happening. Like I think that was her announcement. Hey, I'm home. But now I don't even count that as like her real, return. Now it's a matter of when you go and what kind of beat is she choosing in 2014? Who is she choosing to work with? Does she have a feature? If she does, who is she working with? Is it going to be Papoose? Is it going to be somebody else? Like I feel like now is the time for her to really dig in and show us this is who Remy Ma is in 2014.
What would you like to see? Like, what do you guys think she should do in terms of producers or people she should work? Like, what direction would you like to see her going musically?
I just lost like all audio.
Hello, yo.
No, we're here. Well, I'm not her A&R and I don't do her shit, but I just want her to rap because she's one of the best. You know what I'm saying?
Look, you would A&R that project. Boogs, if they came to you, say, yo, Boogs, we need you to A&R this Remy Ma.
We out. We're going to go back to the gutter shit. We get away from the cute shit. Let's go to the gutter and give me 2 records with Z100. Give me like 10 for Hot 97, and we out.
I kind of like that Remy is a little threatening. Like I don't need another sexy big booty, female MC. Like I kind of like that I'm afraid of her, and that it's interesting. Like no, like I think it's interesting. It's not monotonous. Like yo, keep me scared.
Hey, what happened? Combat, what happened? Combat, what happened?
Without a scratch on her face. Like, what the fuck were you doing there? Like,
real fan too, baby.
Hey, yo, Combat, what happened? I
said I'm afraid of her too, B.
But I like that. Like, it makes her interesting. I say, like, keep that.
That's what I'm saying.
Us, Remy.
Her whole movement, the way she moves is like, yo, she might fuck me up. Nobody's doing that.
She's just not. I just appreciate that she's not lying in her raps. Like anything she says, I believe.
No,
and I'm very scared.
I'll be honest with you.
Remy Ma says to you, yo, Rave, I want to do a photo shoot. I heard you out here killing it.
That shit coming out free.
What would you do with Remy Ma?
I heard you out here killing it too.
How would you approach working with Remy Ma? Like, what would you like to see her packaging-wise, image-wise? If you had to shoot an album cover, like, what's some ideas you would go for?
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, being that I'm from the Bronx, I'd want to shoot her like directly in the Bronx, like in Parkchester. And
L-Boogs like that. We good.
I don't know. Right, like smack dab in the Bronx. But I feel like I just appreciate that she came out and she was just so, like, even though I agree with Jas, like, I don't feel like that was, like, her, like, main introduction. I just like that she came out rapping, like, so gritty and hard because she had just been in jail for 6 years. Like, what should she have been rapping about, you know?
I wouldn't necessarily like to see her packaging-wise in the same environment I saw her in before. I'd like to see kind of where she would want to be now that she's out. So even if it's even if her thing is visually, where does Remy Ma go after the block? Like, that's what I kind of want to see. Like, I don't want to see her still on the block in the Bronx, like, or in Queens or whatever. Like, I don't want to see her in there. It's like, where are you going in 2014? Now that you're out, like, show me that.
And also, I guess, art that, not that every song has to be a sad tale about being in jail, but I'm sure, it gives you a lot of time to reflect on things, like what her mentality is, like some insight into what, not just recapturing the fiery spitter back then, but where she's really at mentally right now,
Yeah.
Everybody there? Okay.
Yeah, but what's sad, somebody just said on Twitter, it's still sad that we're really only talking about 3 female MCs.
What?
Right.
That's a nice segue coming back, because I want to mention some names that people would be in the head all the time about. Rhapsody.
Dope.
3D Nati. 3D Nati. I always say her name wrong. Angel Hayes.
Boom.
And B-Mac the Queen down with Hit Boy and them. And I know there's other females that the names come up. And every time, you have on Twitter, they'll be like, what one? And like, so amongst you guys, like, what do you guys think of? I want to go to each person. I want to know, what do you guys have heard of any of those females I mentioned? And if not her, I know you mentioned somebody, Combat. Like, who is the person that has potential that could break through this and show that there's a lot of females out there?
I think there's, first of all, yeah, I've heard of everyone that you said. I think that there's others. Snow the Product is still out there. You know, I'm drawing a blank now, actually. But I think my overall point is that just like the male artist, it's so hard to break through right now. So that for you to really come to the cream of the crop, you have got to either really build your fan base like crazy or really come across a certified hit. Not necessarily a great song, but a hit. And I think with the female artists also, some of them don't necessarily have the right packaging. And I think that's really, like, let's be honest, we're visual people. That's really important. So it's like you can spit, but if you don't have an image, we don't know who you are as an artist, it's going to be harder to come to the top. It doesn't have to be a sexualized image, but you do have to have a package.
I forgot about my girl, Banks. What's her name? Azealia Banks?
Ashley Banks. Oh, Azealia Banks. Oh, and then Sasha Gohard.
But didn't Azealia Banks almost have like a half a hit, almost a hit? Like, why didn't it work out with her?
She's got an attitude problem. She's an asshole.
Yo,
like that's like seriously. Like that's the thing. It's like you also have to be okay to work with because nobody wants to spend hours with you and you're an asshole. Like at the end of the day, if you fuck everybody over when you're down, nobody's gonna give you a shot.
All right, L-Boogs, man, Rhapsody, Nati, Angel Hayes, B-Mac the Queen. You up on these ladies, man? What you spinning, man?
100%. No, I'm not. I'm gonna be honest. 100%. You know what I'm saying? But the overall of it is, the shit is like, do we want the girl like Remy Ma to come out and bah, fuck you, I'm like a nigga, I will fuck you up, or do we want the girl to go, you know what, I can fuck you up and I'm a sex you too? So that's what we always find ourselves in the in between. Like, do I want the girl that could really bap and fuck me up, or do I want the girl who could
Why
really
can't you have both?
I think we want both.
We want both. We want both, but mainstream was not gonna give you that, right? Mainstream is not gonna give you that. And we're not going to serve that to the people because, again, we go right back to the beginning of the convo. We could only have one at a time, which is really fucked up.
But Boogs, how do we change that, Boogs? And would you be open to listening to as a female rapper?
Of course, but don't come at me and rapping about how you pushing weight and you killing people and blah. At the end of the day, I like me a woman that's tough as shit, but still be a woman. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but what does that mean to still be a woman?
Still be sexy.
Because I feel like that's the root of this. That's like the root of the conversation.
Yeah. Go in, Raven.
It's like it's okay if we have one or two women as long as they're being like women. But the minute there's more than one or two, and like men feel like they're up against the wall, or they're like insecure about it, then there's a problem. That's where the power dynamic comes in. You guys don't want a bunch of women in hip hop because you're scared that we're gonna take your spot. Nicki Minaj raps better than like.
I don't think it's that they're scared that.
That's my spot. Fuck that.
Their spot. I think it's that they just aren't interested necessarily in hearing a female MC talk about something other than sex.
And the thing is, at the end of the day, the way we're set up in this damn industry is, if a man talks about moving weight, killing somebody in 1,000 cars, we're gonna accept that right away.
Even if they're lying.
You know, even if they're fucking lying. At one point, we had Rod Digger, we had Missy, we had Lauren, all moving at the same exact time. It was all moving, but the thing was, they were all giving us something different. You know what I'm saying?
Well, why isn't these artists I mentioned, or artists like that, these new females that are out there that are making songs, why aren't we making more of an effort to connect to their music and expose their music to more people and make them bigger?
Me, in my world, in the radio world, and in the music television world, we only get fed what's either established or we only get fed what's packaged correctly. You know what I'm saying?
But isn't your job in the radio world to go out and forage your own food, or do
if I was the music director, I could definitely say something. If I was the program director, but at the end of the day, I gotta answer to at least.
So you're saying blame Ebro?
Yeah, the T-shirts is out.
Blame Ebro. That's off top.
The T-shirts is out.
Rave, in terms of these new female artists, are you open-minded to try to find the new females to connect to? Like that, if you listen to any of these artists I mentioned, like.
I mean, I don't feel like I represent all women. Like, I don't want to stand here and represent all women because I'm going to be honest, I don't really listen to any of the new female artists you named. I'm one of those people that I kind of consume what I like, what I see on the internet, what I hear on the radio. Like, I'm not searching for new artists. Like, for me, sometimes I feel like there's so much music coming out, I can't even consume it all. So I tend to just listen to what I like. But overall, I do think that it would be refreshing to hear more women artists on the radio and more, like, and see, and there not just be like Nicki, Iggy, and the return of Remy. I just don't feel, I think that it's everyone's job, you know. It's
like that artist kind of has to come up with the right balance of making the hit record to get your attention, also having hardcore records and art radio records. Like, they almost have to join the party. They have to earn their stripes and hit your radar, basically.
Basically, but I think that's how most people are. I mean, there are those people that do search for new music, but for a lot of people, it is what they hear on the radio and what they see on TV and what they kind of see on the internet. So when you hear the radio say, well, we only play what's already established or what's already packaged, where it's kind of like a never-ending cycle. We're never going to hear these new women if they're not, like, on the radio, and they're not being put on the radio because they're not established.
Yo, Combat, you said, well, Monet Gypsy, right? Who else you checking for?
No,
what do you think
her name is No Name Gypsy.
No Name, I'm sorry, No Name Gypsy.
And you know, I think if it's not on radio's responsibility anymore, it's on ours in terms of like people on the internet that have a say so, because we still have an influence. And I've been really fortunate. I went to Chicago last year and really got into like the Sasha Go Hards and the Katie Got bands and the No Name Gypsy. And then even in New York, like Nitty Scott, you know, there's a lot of women out there that's doing it. And I think all they need is a little bit more cosigns.
But see, even with Nitty Scott, Nitty is a great example of an artist that she's been around for a second, but you've seen her image change greatly. She's understood that she's got to get her packaging together, and she's putting that work in. Like with Nitty, really, I feel like with her, it's just that one song. She's that one song away from just being out of here. But she's positioned herself to be ready for that, and that's what I think a lot of other artists need to really, like, take mind to that and do the same. I actually do have a heart out, though, because I got to go.
Okay, thank you, Jas. I apprate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
All right, Jas.
You don't even talk about this with no one. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Taylor. Thank you.
But I will say this, like, just as an extra cosign, my favorite female rapper right now, because I think she's cute and I like her rhymes and I like her style and it's real organic, is Sasha Go Hard.
Okay. Because she's cute? Because she's cute? What about the rhyme? I didn't say cute.
Hey, come back. First thing you said was because she's cute.
See, y'all trying to start
problems. As soon as Jas goes, see, Raven, as soon as you're alone with two men, the sexism kicks in. You see how
I didn't think she's sexy. She's not sexy.
Okay, there you go. Cute, not sexy. Okay.
Yeah.
But so, do you think almost that we have to make the extra effort? I mean,
of course.
Raven says no. Combat says yes. L-Boogs probably no too. Like, it's almost like, do we have to make an extra effort?
I just want to know who, when you say we, right? Who do you mean? Do you mean everybody that consumes music?
We all say that we're not happy with the state of things, right? There's not enough female artists. But if they are making this music, why aren't we making more of an effort to download their music? Go, like we're mentioning names now. Are people going to go and listen to go to their SoundClouds, listen to everything Rhapsody has to offer, Angel Hayes, B-Mac the Queen, and really try to, you know, help these female artists develop their image? Because, like we said, image is important. It's probably even a little more harder to come up with the right image for a female artist to be respected by these companies to come out there and get any kind of notice. So, do we have to make an extra effort if we want the game to change instead of just complaining about it?
I think so. We got to be the change we want to see.
Yeah, that's all I was trying to say.
I'll agree with that. I do think we have to be the change we want to see. At the same time, though, it still does, like, the industry itself, aside from just the audience, the industry itself has to change, you know, and they have to be willing to accept more women artists, and I think that they have to want to shape more women artists and look for women artists and sign more women artists if they want to see more women artists.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they care about seeing it. I think they just respect hits, you know, like if you make a hit record, they're going to respect it more if there's potential to make a hit. But I think that there's places, too, where, you know, these other artists may just have a more underground balance and just have good music. And I think that it takes more of an effort to find these artists. And I just feel like, you know, a lot of times even with the male artists, it may not be the one you think. Who's going to be that name? Nicki Minaj, you know, when she was mixtape Nicki, right? L-Boogs. Like, when like a Nicki type person, when did she first hit your radar? You know what I mean? Like, what can artists that's putting out mixtapes do?
The Nicki got me with the first shit was the I Get Crazy shit. That got me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Me too. I was sold on Nicki. I was sold on mixtape Nicki.
And then I always tell people like, yo, you know what I like? It's gonna sound crazy. I like Nicki when she raps like a nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like I like that shit. Talk about women shit. Talk about manly shit. When she puts that shit together,
hey, yo, pause. Yo.
I feel like at the same time, aside from her being a woman, like, you cannot deny her talent from her mixtapes, from her fan base, from the way she interacts with people. Like, all of those things make her who she is and make her number one right now. It's not just that she's the only woman, so that's why she's doing well. She's right now also the only woman because, like, there aren't a lot of women, I feel like, that rap as good as her or can cover as many lanes as her or physically look as good as she does. And, like, she kind of embodies all the things people want to see a woman in hip-hop embody. So that's, like, you can't take credit away from her because she's the only woman. There's also other reasons why people really like her.
But there's other women out there that can rap as well as her and look as good as her. They just haven't been given that opportunity.
Hopefully they get that, man. I appreciate everybody. Any more final thoughts from my three panelists to the left, Combat?
First time I heard about Nicki was when she was trying to get at Foxy's box. Y'all remember that? Remember that video? Do y'all remember that video?
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Man, I gotta send it to you.
You gotta send that out, man.
Rave, how you feel? You enjoyed yourself, Rave?
Yeah, I enjoyed myself. Thank you for having me.
You're gonna have weirdos hitting you on Twitter. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Every time you tweet me, I get a million links to mixtapes I'm never gonna listen to.
Yeah.
If they're from female artists, you better listen to them.
I'll see.
You had a good time, baby?
Hey, man, always, and I'm always happy to be here.
Promote something, L-Boogs. Promote something before we get out of here, man.
Hey, every Saturday on that Hot 97, 12 to 5, the best show ever, L-Boogs.com and all that. And I like this shit. Have me on here one more time, man.
And Raven, what's that website, Raven, for the great photography out there, baby?
Raven B. Varona, Varona. And you should have me more often, not just to talk about women, because I listen to men and hip-hop, too.
Yo, Combat, tell them about that iTunes podcast Kingpin status you got there, man. What they got there?
The Combat Jack Show on iTunes, the Combat Jack Show on SoundCloud, the Loudspeakers Network. We have several shows. We got Charlemagne on one of our shows. We got
Loudspeakers Network.
Loudspeakers, yo, we'll talk.
I work hard, Combat. I work hard out here, man. I want to have a meeting, man.
I know. We'll talk off air.
All right, guys, I gotta go. Thank you.
All right, so thank you.
Looking out, man. The Truth Live, man. The end of season 5. Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Yeah.
What up? What up? How are you?
I'm great.
I think when I say culture, I'm talking about another version. Yo, we're live. Yeah, Elliot Wilson, man. It's the truth. Live. We returned. This is actually the season 5 finale, right, Taylor? We out of here, man. Yeah. I got to call the lawyers, man, after this one.
Get that re-up ready. Or you going back to Cleveland with Braun and them.
Go back to Cleveland with Kevin Love, man. Nah. So we here today. Got another amazing panel. 2 males, 2 females. I had to have the right ratio, the right balance, because this is a topic that's always been an important issue to our culture, something that we struggle with. We're never fully happy with the overall state of it, I feel, and it just keeps coming up, you know, and like especially this past week, we've heard a lot of different artists, you know, from the past who've had great years of success, and they're doing their thing now. What happened? Oh, what's that? The Soul Read? Yo, we're live. Yeah, Elliot Wilson, man. What you got there? Hold on one second. Tech difficulties. Okay, yeah, I'm hearing my prompt and shit. Are they watching that part of it now? Are they that behind? Oh, okay. Keller's out here fucking up, man. He's 5. But anyhow, female rap, the state of female rap. You know, last couple years, I think of, these are the things I think of, you know, Nicki Minaj's dominance. Now we have the Iggy Azalea factor, her success this year. The wrath of Lil' Kim.
Sexualized in, like, a male-dominated society. Like, it's not just about their bars. You have to still be a sexy woman to have any sort of power, because there are other like up and coming, I feel like, women rappers, but they might not have the spotlight because they're not as.
We're gonna mention them. We're gonna mention them.
Yeah, but they're not as sexy. So I think there's a lot of issues, not just there being a lack of women rappers, but just how they're represented and what makes them successful.
Okay, we're gonna get into that, obviously. Combat Jack, you're back, baby. What's going on?
What's up, internets?
Salutes.
Salute. So my name is Reggie Osei, aka Combat Jack. I'm an attorney, author.
He's a lawyer.
Personality, and I'm a Jack Jazz, and say I'm a culturalist. I think in 2014.
I want my publishing. I want my publishing.
Get it.
Why is Jazz frozen? You gotta unfreeze Jazz. Jazz is frozen on my screen. I can't see.
But I think it's 2014, man, and with all this access to information and talent, this argument is way late in the day. You know, I'm at a point in my life where I've heard everything under the sun from male and female MCs, and I want to hear more. There's so many more women MCs out there that are doing great things that I've accidentally stumbled upon. There's a female out in, I'm sorry to even say female, there's a woman out in Chicago named No Name Gypsy, who I think she was.
We never actually talk about why, so I don't have time for all
that. But besides, why do we have it? Was it more so? Do you mean why don't we have enough, or like? What about the
like you have to have like a real conversation about it to actually change anything. Okay. But until then, you just have these sort of masturbatory conversations, and ain't nobody got time for it. Well, I don't.
I'm sure that'll come back up. So when people mention even the idea of female rap, you don't even think of Nicki or think of the actual acts. You think of the overall dilemma that we face, like when people say it.
Well, I think when we talk about female rap, specifically female rap, the conversation is always what's happening and where are they and how many are there, etc. When we talk about Nicki, it's usually in context of the music or something that she's done. So that's two different conversations. Okay. So when the female rap conversation comes up, it's usually a complaint-based conversation.
Got you. Okay, I feel you on that. L-Boogs, you're back in the house.
I'm here. We're good.
What's up, DJ Extraordinaire? Tell the people who you are, and then again, what do you feel when you hear the term female rap, female hip hop, the state of things?
L-Boogs, one of the founding members of the Heavy Hitters. I'm over at Hot 97. You guys know that place. The best show ever each and every Saturday. When I hear the whole thing about female rap, like I was speaking earlier.
She's back terrorizing.
Terrorizing who?
You can watch every 5 minutes. You can watch Lauryn Hill live somewhere doing something, you know, and obviously also the return of Remy Ma. You know, we're very excited about that. So the esteemed panel I have today, I want you guys to introduce yourselves. Give me your opening thoughts about like when people say female hip hop or female rap, what comes to your mind? Keep it real brief if you can, and let's just start this discussion. I'm bringing back Jas Fly. Jas.
What it is. What's
going on, Jas?
By the way, I can't see myself now.
Introduce yourself first, obviously.
I am Jas Fly. I am a writer and a media personality, and on some days a journalist.
And now you're West Coasting, right? You're West Coasting now.
Today I'm on the West Coast.
All right, true.
Yes. So I guess yes. But yeah, I'm I guess a culturalist. I don't know what else to say about this. My thoughts on female hip-hop. I want to issue a disclaimer. This is my one and only time having this conversation, Elliot Wilson. I hate having this conversation.
We all do, Jas. Why do we hate it? Why do you think we hate it so much?
Because we never have a real conversation. We have the same bullshit. Can I curse?
Yes, please.
Okay. We have the same bullshit conversation of why aren't there any female MCs, just so we can feel better about there not being any female MCs.
It's like it's something that's always been missing in hip hop, period, because like we said earlier, you know, we were having the sidebar. It's a thing of like we're only allowing one woman at a time. That's it. If another girl tries to step in the field, we got to make them go at each other. But I just think it's always been missing. And because of the way hip hop is set up in general, starting in the office, women always get pushed to the side. And then it's like, oh man, is she really rapping? Did she really write that? We really don't question it.
Did she write her own bars?
Yeah, like we don't really question that when a man raps. As soon as he come out rapping, yo, he rapping. But as soon as a woman comes out, it's like, wait a minute, We got to find out, did she really write that or not? We're going to write her off. And I think that's foul because automatically the negatives are set against women when they try to come in the hip-hop ring.
Okay. Raven B. How are you, Ray?
Hi. I'm well. I'm Raven B. I'm a photographer and I guess you could say a hip-hop enthusiast. So I'm always taking pictures of hip-hop artists. For me, I feel like it's a little different because I feel like women in hip-hop, we're always, well, not me, but women rappers are pretty much it has to be a competition. So like L-Boogs said, there can only be one female rapper. If there's more than one, if another one comes out, she's automatically put against the one that's already on top. But more so, I feel like it kind of represents society in the sense that women are just overly